So guys, first and foremost, really glad to have you here. And
Thank you.
also, just before hitting the record button, what you guys were mentioning, like you just met, we just met, and
We all just met.
I think this is the essence of basically this podcast. So I think this is beautiful because I really like to know more about you guys. I know Toby, but still, I don't know everything about Toby. So for me, it's also an experience to get to know more about you, man. And also for you to know more about Toby, but also for us to know more about you, Jack.
Mm.
So let's start with you, Toby, man.
Sure, bro. Go for it.
So just give me a little bit of like a short heads up of who are you, what are you doing, but also like what are you doing here in Dubai, man? Because
Sure.
you are flying to Qatar tomorrow, so that's interesting as well. So I'm really curious to hear what are you doing here and not being in England, man.
Sure, man. Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, like just purely for the network, man.
Yeah.
Just like meeting people in Dubai. You know, it was one thing I will say is that entrepreneurship can be quite lonely.
Mm-hmm.
So like meeting with people that are like you is massive, and just getting tips and tricks, and also just having a good time. Like I think entrepreneurship and just business in general can be quite boring and tough and like really systematic. So just to step away from that and experience like just living a good life is huge. But yeah, man. And what I do, I've been in e-com for 4 years now. I learned off my brother.
Mm-hmm.
I'm building a brand now, patent pending, trademarks. It's all very much in place. Yeah, going to Qatar tomorrow for the first time, doing business in person, not
Nice.
online.
That's really cool, man.
With a retailer, which is gonna be quite good. Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's also funny because I was immediately thinking about like one of our conversations back in Greece. So for the guys who are listening, we met each other in Greece, and you are basically talking back then about you just working in your let's say in your room every single day, not talking to a lot of people, just being dialed in, focused, and now you are like in this fucking place, right? It's crazy,
Mate. The difference is mental.
Yeah.
The difference is mental. Like, I was a lonely kid, just Chad scaling with no real system in the business. And like until I met you, not even just to try and sell, like for yourself, bro. Like you changed everything for me.
Thank
like
you.
the systems, accountability, the leadership, everything. I've got a team of 4 now, like just employees, etc. It's awesome. But yeah, I'm completely different. It's mad how quickly things can change.
Yeah,
Crazy.
same color though.
Yeah.
So that's
Same
the only
colour,
thing.
Same color.
For me as well, man. Just one moment in the sun and it's better already.
Sick, man.
Nice.
You were proud of that time as well, weren't you?
Mate, that time was unbelievable. That was. I went to a private island actually, and we almost got arrested. It was crazy. Yeah. Me and Vincent. Vincent was a cool guy.
Is he another guy on the group?
Yeah, I already forgot about it, man.
Hell.
That
Yeah,
was
I
crazy
know.
as well.
I think he's doing quite well. He's
Yeah.
doing quite well.
Yeah. But tell a little bit about that small trip to that island, because Jack doesn't know about it, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
right,
so
this one.
So we arrived there, and it's an amazing place. Like it is crazy. It's like a Love Island villa, and in the distance you can see it's like private island. It's just so like there's no one on it. Like it's just this super special thing, and we were like, "Fuck it, let's go." And like, mate, we were just like, "Send it. Let's absolutely let's go. Let's see check it out." Long story short, we were gone for 5 hours. Almost got arrested. And
how did you get there?
We had what? Paddleboard.
Yeah.
It's a paddleboard, man. Yeah. We thought it'd be like an hour. Yeah, it took like 5 hours. It took like 5 hours to get there.
They were probably watching you since you set
Mate,
off as well.
oh, mate. Honestly, when we got back, I was burnt bad.
Oh
I was burnt bad. Got hell's itch. Like, it was crazy. And mate, on the island, there was like these crazy seagulls. It was like a movie. Yeah, man, that was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, but
Wow.
also like we were on the shore, and
Yeah.
we also said like, if you like go somewhere, let us know. Don't do stupid shit, right? And the first thing that they did was like, let's go paddleboarding to an island, which was like every normal person would have seen that it was way too far away, man.
Yeah.
Like way too far away.
Yeah.
And we were like with drones, like trying to search them, but
Yeah, I
we couldn't
know.
find them. And we were like, maybe they got stranded because it was really hot. They didn't have any water. Yeah, only the
No
sea,
water,
but you can't
nothing,
drink, right?
just-
So Barney, the guy who hosted the event, was like worried like crazy. It was like, oh, maybe something happened to them.
And it did.
Yeah, then they just got
Turn
caught.
up the handcuffs.
Oh,
yeah.
mate, honestly. And like 2 ex-military with us, obviously, Rowan
Oh my
and
God.
Tony. Mate, crazy. Telling us, right, make sure. He's like, there's a lot of money in this villa, make sure we're all safe, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, the first thing we did was go, do you want to come? Yeah, go on in here. Mate, yeah, crazy story.
You live and you learn, don't you?
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Beautiful. Man.
Yeah, bro.
And you, Jack,
Hilarious.
you just told me like you recently
Yes.
moved here with
Yeah.
your girlfriend.
Been here with Katie off camera over there, but yeah, we've been here for 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks now. Run 2 companies. So we've got a marketing agency in the UK I set up 4 years ago, who we work with Toby as well.
Nice.
And more recently, we set up a virtual staffing company to help businesses basically employ remote employees, specifically from the Philippines,
Okay.
which is the entity that we have set up in Dubai and the reason for the move a couple of weeks ago.
So like the VA business, like the recruiting business is like the main business right now? Or?
Yeah. So I took a bit of a transition. The marketing agency, I would say, was the vehicle to get into online business. I think it's where a lot of people start.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah. Facebook ads, Google ads, TikTok ads. So I have a business partner. We employ 5 people at that company, but it just wasn't for me. And I kind of just fell into the virtual staffing side of things. We grew that business and scaled it by employing VAs from the Philippines. Josa, who is my right-hand woman, she's 28, 29, built an amazing relationship with her. And one thing just kind of snowballed and led to the other.
Mm.
It just kind of came to it. It was a really nice natural progression, and that became my passion. So
Nice.
just recently, I have less of my responsibilities within the agency so that I can focus solely on the staffing business.
Nice. That's interesting, man.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, like what I've seen, and also myself, I started an agency and then I transitioned to coaching and I just fell into it as well. So it's interesting to see that most of them, like let's say the main online businesses, are like the sort of leverage to do the thing that we actually really good in or what we really love to do, right?
100%. Yeah,
Nice.
that's it. I see it, Katie as well, we were speaking about this, with so many people, because I think the marketing, it's such an in-demand service. It's applicable to e-commerce, coaches, service-based businesses, anybody. I wouldn't say it was the most difficult business model to start. So for a lot of people, and there's lots of courses out there, it's very easy to get into. And I think for most people, the goal is to earn that freedom, isn't it? To get out of the 9 to 5, become independent, work for yourself.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, with that freedom, you start asking the questions, what do I actually want to do now?
Yeah.
I kind of got what I wanted to achieve initially, and then you go from there.
And what made you guys move to here, man?
Apart from the obvious, because we do, obviously, our VAs are all from the Philippines, and we were based in the UK. So Dubai was a central hub between the two. So this year I plan to visit the Philippines a lot, and obviously travel from the UK is 23, 24 hours with stop off and layover. Also banking, paying internationally is logistically a bit of a nightmare from the UK. So we registered the company in Dubai, which made the logistics of both travel and finance much, much easier. And of course, we've got the added benefits and the sunshine as well.
And the views.
And the views,
Yeah, that's so crazy over here, man.
Like the company's awesome. So like VA to you, obviously you can get VAs anywhere, Upwork, Fiverr, anything like that. But like what's different about them is they manage it and train them all for you. So it's like so out of hand, and you can literally just implement EVAs into any part of your business. One, it saves you money, and also you're making more revenue. I've got a VA now who does our email marketing from Jack, and I was paying this agency, I think 3-4K a month, and not getting really good results. But like I've switched over to this VA now, and they've doubled our email campaign revenue.
Really?
Like doubled it. It's a crazy model. Super cool.
That's nice, man. And also like, for me, I work with a lot of e-com guys. Like I work with like mainly guys in the e-com business. That's not like my intention, but it just happened like that. And also other businesses. But I'm really curious, like, what can your VAs do for them? Because like might be interesting for me as well, for my clients as well, to have a good chat, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what can they do?
Broadly they can do anything. We have a few arms to the business, which we've really tried to niche down our service offering. For e-com stores, the main focus really being customer service, website management, so that's order, inventory management, and then content, creative, and then marketing. The fundamentals, really. The thing is, with our VAs, a lot of them have, a wealth of experience in e-commerce. And as Toby mentioned, the management team that we have, again, so Cindy, our head of operations, she has 15 years experience managing 9-figure e-com brands. She has personal stories of scaling brands from like $4 million a month to $10 million a month. So taking them from that 8 to 9-figure bracket. So we're able to place VAs that don't necessarily do just one role, but they can actually manage multiple operations within one business. So it's almost like having a whole arsenal through one person, and the management element of it. Then, if they have issues, challenges, whatever it may be, they can tap into our internal teams, operational know-how, and partnering with VATU and the VA and the company, overcome pretty much any issue essentially.
Okay.
But our VAs, our recruitment processes, you maybe a bit more information on the Philippines. So after COVID, 50 million people made unemployed.
So in the Philippines.
In the Philippines specifically, due to obviously safer working conditions at home. So there was call center representatives, telecommunications representatives, loads of people that were in these office spaces that were then left without a job, which had this surge of people going into online business, which took them into marketing and mainly e-commerce. But obviously that's it's like a floodgate or like the Hoover Dam with the water built up behind it, of all these VAs with all this experience and nowhere to really go. So part of our mission is to, bring gainful employment to people that are experienced that don't necessarily have the opportunities to work as we do. And like as you were saying, Fiverr and Upwork for VAs is a great platform to get work, but the competition on there, the quality naturally is, I would say, a lot lower, and the price, it's a race to the bottom on price, we find. Okay. So our process actually involves recruiting skilled and experienced VAs, providing them with fair salaries, giving them all the benefits they would get with normal employment, and then position them in growing companies. So actually managing the experience for them, which means that we can attract pretty much anyone for any role, and also attract more loyalty, and try and integrate a real integral part of a business, as opposed to just a general VA just looking for any kind of role within an e-com store.
Yeah, I see a lot of issues with that one. So what I see with a lot of the e-com guys is exactly what you're saying, is like, especially the loyalty part. Like, you don't know what they do besides what they do for you, right? So what I often see is they secretly work with a lot of other people as well, and then they do half-ass jobs. So
yeah,
and most of the guys who are like in online business, they are not like that experienced yet, so that they're not always like super tough on it right away. So then there will be an issue, because they feel like, okay, I'm like a human person, so let's say, okay, one mistake, fine. But in reality, that other person is just screwing you without even knowing, right? So I think I see a small trend happening, that more guys are looking for more quality people. They really would love to pay a little bit more for like the employee, still have like fair prices, like cheaper than like a European guy, let's say, like that.
Yeah, well, we find that with Upwork, as I say, it's a race to the bottom on price. But generally what you find is somebody will charge themselves out cheaper per hour, but then they'll take on 2 or 3 jobs at once to make up for what they're losing out on the hourly rate, which then, as you see, it leads to a huge problem, because people will employ them thinking that they're getting a dedicated VA or a dedicated customer service rep, and then they're chasing them up, their communication's terrible, and it's like, yes, they've hired somebody super cheap and it seems like a great idea, but then they're not really getting the service that they intended. So we really try to be the middleman between that, so businesses actually get somebody beneficial for their company. And as you say, it's an interesting point you said about people new to business don't necessarily have that management experience. They don't know what to look for in an individual, and they don't know how to then approach them if they think that there is a problem, which can then, it takes much longer for them to identify a problem. And in time is money in business. You lose a fortune, which I think there is an element that you have to go through those mistakes to get to where you want to be. But that's, kind of why we set ourselves up, so that we could help people navigate the challenges of setting up online businesses early on. and provide them with somebody experienced to support them as a bit of a middleman.
Yeah, and also what one of the things that is interesting as well, like I'm building this brotherhood, this mastermind that I was mentioning before the recording, and I always thought like I need to have a VA or like a PA from the Netherlands, because what I'm doing as well is hosting a lot of like in-person events, like small dinners, stuff like that, but also like quarterly events.
Yeah.
And I like to be the guy who has the ideas. So thinking about like needs to be an amazing villa with X amount of spots, like places to stay. But what I've seen doing myself is then like scrolling to Airbnb for like 3 hours, which is like wasting my time. And then still feel like maybe I need to go tomorrow for another look to maybe find something better.
Yeah.
And I always thought, okay, I need to have like a Dutch person who can do that for me.
Yeah.
But then I realized, and someone said it to me, like one of my ecom clients, he was talking like, why not get like someone from the Philippines? It's cheaper, but most of the time even more proficient, because like a student who doesn't even has any skills in the Netherlands, they want to charge like almost full-time salary for like stuff they never did, right? So it might be even interesting. Like that's something I've been thinking about lately. Like might be even interesting to have someone from the Philippines who is like very skilled. I would love to pay them more than just a simple $4-5 an hour rate, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Because they can still do research in the Netherlands because almost everything is translatable or in English, right?
For sure, yeah. It's interesting. Out of interest, have you worked with anyone from the Philippines before?
Yeah, I did. It was like at the beginning of my coaching journey, and like I did like the typical like cold outreach VA, and for me, I didn't like it. So the thing was, especially at the beginning, I was always like having this like fear of rejection. So I thought if I don't do the cold EMs, then I don't feel that rejection, right?
Sure.
So I just tried to hire a VA from the Philippines, teach them some script. I didn't believe in working with a script because I always felt like I believe in more like this genuine, authentic relationship building, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then I hired someone from the Philippines, a couple of different people. Like I did it for 1.5 years. Spend all the money, never got like one call booked from all of it.
Yeah.
And it was all because of me, but also like it just didn't feel like this should be my business, my way of business, right?
Yeah.
But I think for things on the background, like more like the back end, then it might be really interesting, like some operational work. Like even if it's like sorting out some agenda stuff, mail, invoices, all these things that like, for me, I'm not like a lot of things, but if I combine them all, it especially takes some occupation in my mind, right?
This is the big one for me when I speak to people. I always say like, there is time and then there's mental bandwidth. And you know, you might think, oh, I'm saving 5, 10, in some cases 20 hours a week by hiring a PA or a VA. But it's also then that the element of never having to think about that thing again. You know, like having the invoice in the back of your mind, for instance. You know they have to go out. You know that they've not been paid. So it's taking up bandwidth within your mental capacity, in which you can't then think about creation. You can't think about anything new. So just by alleviating your mind of those commitments, it gives you a whole new perspective on the business. You don't feel as tied up in the trenches. You can think a lot more clearly about the direction you want to go. You can spot problems easier because you're looking at it from a completely new perspective. And I think for a lot of people, when they work with the VAs, that's the first thing that they notice is how much more mental clarity they get. But I think another blocker for people is like, can I really trust offloading these responsibilities to somebody on the other side of the world?
Yeah.
So again, another reason why we exist, you know, we give them that guarantee of quality and of service, and we're responsible then for the outcome. So it's not like they're just getting somebody random from Upwork. They've never met them. There's no intermediary saying, look, if something goes wrong, we're here to sort it out. There's NDAs in place. You know, we've done all the legal side of things. So that can be another challenge for people that's taken out.
I understand. Because then it's like they also treat it like, how can I say best? they also treat it like just someone randomly, right? They cannot trust. So they already start with trust issues.
Yeah, for sure.
So then the relationship will never be built in that way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then they tolerate like those low standards. That's something I see a lot as well. Like they tolerate low standards because they feel like they tried a lot of different Philippine employees and it was not really working. And there is always something that they feel like they are not really working in a level that they want to.
I have this saying, well, I used to, just to wheel it back a little bit, I used to be an electrical engineer. So before I got into online business, I was an electrician on site. And they always used to say, buy shite, buy twice. And it's the same principle. You know, if you buy a VA just purely based on price, chances are that you're going to have to get another one. You're not going to be happy with the service. But then that often puts a lot of people off. Like we were talking about this the other day with Toby's VAs and your experience.
Yeah, mate.
With Upwork, you know, like you
absolutely. So short term, bro. It's like you can, if you really care about what you're doing as a founder and you're talking to your customers, but if it's with someone who doesn't care about your business, well then, you know, your retention rate might be super, super low, but you don't realize it. Or, you know, LTV and things like that, plays a massive part in customer support, right? But also as well as on time management, what we're talking about there. I always like to use the rule of like the 80-20 rule. So if you had to narrow down your time to 20%, what would you do in that 20% in order to get 80% of the outcome of the revenue? So it really like narrows down, not doing the nitty gritty, as you were saying, the Airbnb, like that sort of stuff, where you can just focus on, right, what's going to make me the most revenue? Okay, it's that. Do you know what I mean? You can outsource the rest.
That's powerful. That's also like one of the main things that I focus on with the guys that I work with, like right away. The 80-20, it's like everyone says 80-20, but almost nobody does it.
No one does it, bro.
Yeah, it's like a lot of methods and principles you hear on podcasts, books, stuff like that. It feels really good to talk about it, right?
Yeah, man.
But the talking doesn't do anything.
It's true.
It's always like the actually doing.
Yeah. It's easy to regurgitate what you hear, isn't
it? And the funny thing is, even us talking about it, probably we still do a lot of things in the 80%. 100%. And that's so funny about it, because what's the difference between someone who is like, let's say, Michael Jordan and some random basketballer is like a lot of repetitions, a lot of falling, but also like a lot focused on the 20%.
Yeah.
The basics are 9 out of 10, always the 20%, because that's what's working, right?
Sure.
But it's very easy to just, like, how can I say it? Now something is working, it feels too simple. Maybe I need to overcomplicate it, because then it sounds like maybe this is the next thing that will help me grow. Or most of the time it's always just keep going with the basics, do more of the basics.
Yeah. It's funny, we were having this conversation today, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were just saying about e-commerce and just how most businesses are actually very, very simplified.
Yeah.
Well, not most businesses, there are a lot of complicated businesses, but when you actually really strip it back, it's very, very simple. Yeah. It is just, like you say, doing the right stuff, repeat, getting the reps in, you know, getting the hard work done, and being consistent.
1000%. And also, like, I went to the Affiliate World Conference yesterday, and it's mainly focused like on affiliate marketers, but also like people who have like an e-com brand or shops or like agency, but mainly for affiliates. And I went to a couple of those speakers, like how do you say it? Like talks,
public speech, sure.
And if you just focus on the details, you only see like what they talk about, CPA, CTR, all these things, and you only think about what they say in the technical stuff, then basically you don't get what they really say, because what they all said was like in the basic of like the foundation is like test every single thing as much as possible, as fast as possible, so you get feedback fast, and then you can make some corrections, see what's working, do more of what's working, and this basic principle is like an overarching thing in like business, relationships, your body, everything. But what most of us do, and this is like normal, because this is like we are human, we are always a mess, right? That's what human beings are, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you do things a lot fast, then you grow faster, then you see what's working. And I also told to the guys that I went with, like, don't focus too much on the nitty gritty. Just focus on what they say, how they speak about what they actually do, and not about like the small details, because their brands, their businesses are different than yours. So if you just hear them say like you need to do like X campaign with like 7 creatives, don't see this as like God is talking to you and this is the holy grail. No, test it, but also look at like what's the underneath foundational thing about that, right? Otherwise you don't learn anything.
Yeah, majority of the time in e-com as well is like everyone already knows the answers. You just need to test. Like I ask questions to my brother who's doing crazy months, bro, like 100k net profit like per month, crazy stuff. And whenever I give a question to him, he's like, test it. And why are you asking me to test it? Yeah. And it's funny as well. One thing you taught me in Greece, bro, is like majority of the people, like all us now, whatever our problems we're going through, we probably already know the answers. So when I was in Greece, bro, like what you were saying to me about obviously like where I want to go. For sure. Pretty cool. Tell us about you, bro. I know obviously you're back on now. Tell us about you. So obviously your story is absolutely crazy. And I know in Greece we didn't actually talk a lot together. But I really wanted to talk to you a bit more on it. Because obviously the military, getting into online business, you're slightly different, bro. And with obviously Pure Man now, it's amazing.
Rocking the Pure Man. I'm also a little bit of an e-com guy, right? But I sell.
Sure, of course. Yeah, bro, tell us about your military and your background and stuff.
Yeah, man. So first and foremost, I'm really glad that you learned something from me, because that's something that you just said, right? Like, we always know what to do. We always know it. And the reason why I just repeat it is because I was the guy who always searched for more information. So I can start with talking about the cool stuff, like the military and stuff like that. And I will give you guys a little bit.
Yeah, do, because I'm quite interested to know.
It's crazy, man.
We've just
yeah, man, I will definitely do. But like, one of the reasons why my business is called The Pure Man is because I also like to just throw shit on the table, which is reality. And for me, like, one of the things that was like the biggest problem is on the outside, people always saw me as like this guy he knows his shit. He was in the military. He is disciplined. All these things, but deep down inside, I was fucking insecure. Like I was so insecure that I was basically like spending all my money on new information, while deep down inside, I actually know what to do. So like go from one coach to another, like every single time. Like I didn't even finish like one coaching program, and I was already looking for for the next one, because in my mind already like the exciting stuff of like me spending a lot of money was gone. Like the new things were off. So I felt like, okay, he cannot teach me anything new. So I need to have someone else. So that's why I know like the implementation is everything. Because for me, like 3 years of being the guy who's like immersing himself with information, always looking for something new. It just fucked me up. Like I was already doing what I was doing right now. So the crazy thing is like, I was helping my clients get like amazing results in their business and other areas as well. But like I was struggling like fucking crazy myself, because I had so much information. I knew so many options that I could give it to my clients, which was nice.
Yeah.
But for me then I was like, whoa, fuck, I don't even know where to start, right? I was just collecting like insights. As if it was a backpack, man.
Do you think it could have been a beneficial part of the process though?
I needed it. Like a lot of fuck ups that I make, I always see in my clients. So that's fine.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I always like, even with spending money, like I have half of my clients are like greedy as fuck. Let me double check it. Okay, no. Okay.
Sorry, you said you're a greedy
as
fuck.
Good. Yeah. I think you are.
But like half of my clients are like greedy. They are really afraid to spend money. So their problems are more like they are really good at stacking it. Yeah. But their challenges are more like to take more risks to grow even faster. They like hit a plateau because they like have this like scarcity on money.
That's a really interesting subject. We were talking about this. So me and Kate went to Florida for 6 weeks end of last year, and I studied a course while I was out there called the Metaphysical Money Manual. And it obviously metaphysical before physics, before the physical world. It's the mental world, essentially, or the subconscious mind. And there was an element in that in which it spoke about if people are tight with money, meaning they can't part ways with it, they can't spend it, it blocks the flow of new money coming in, because everything is cyclical.
For sure.
Yeah, so it's very interesting you say that, because that's something that I just personally learned recently. Not that I'd gone crazy and that's spending lots of money. But
no, but that's for sure, man. That's something like, that's why those guys get a lot of results by working with me, because I was like the same as the other type of client who are like, they spend more money than they have. So those clients are like growing really fast. But the problem is they always grow too fast. So for example, in e-com, the whole backend is not really well developed yet. So they get like angry clients, low Trustpilot reviews, other things like delivery problems, whatever, because they just always felt like, okay, so that's something I will fix someday later, right? Or just like me, like making a lot of money in a short notice, and then like getting a little bit comfortable because I'm like, fuck, with this money I can live for years. And then like years are like weeks and months. And then I realized, okay, maybe I need to get more money, right?
Keep going, yeah, man.
So for me, it became like a pattern of like, okay, for some reason I'm good in selling. I'm someone who can like deliver something confidently, even if I make a lot of spelling mistakes, like stuff like that. So that's interesting, because I was starting as a coach internationally, but my English was really bad. I still made money. But that was my problem, because I always lived above my income level. So even in the military, I was like making 2K and I was spending 3.5K every single month. And so for some reason, I learned the skill to create money, even if I didn't have to have it. So that was good. But then as an entrepreneur, I realized like me being this guy, taking the same kind of mindset in entrepreneurship, like even with like almost zero money at the bank, I never really felt stressed. There were definitely some situations, but I just trained myself to be like, even when I'm broke, I feel rich. Yeah. So that was, I thought it was good, but it was also a little bit delusional, because it was also an excuse to not just fucking take responsibility for my bullshit expenses. Because it's like, I realized it was very childish. Like a child is impulsive all the time. He cannot manage his impulses or emotions. And I realized, okay, wait, I needed to learn this. But if I want to be a man and teaching other guys to be a man at like business, but all the other areas as well, then you need to take responsibility for your actions. So for me, that was something I realized, like, whoa, basically this is something I just needed to go through, learn, struggle with a lot. Like basically hitting the same kind of problem like 3-4 times in 4 years, and then realize, okay, I just needed to tackle this problem before even being able to scale to the next level. Because if I don't learn this, I still make the same mistakes, but I also let my clients make the same mistakes, because that's what happened. Those guys were like always in the money issues, but then making a lot of money, and then in the money issues again.
Big responsibility.
They stayed within this problem, because I also was experiencing it. So I couldn't fix it for them or like call them out on them, because I was with them on it.
Same thing. How did you tackle that then?
Yeah, so it's definitely still a challenge, because this is something I fucking love, that feeling. So it's crazy. It feels sometimes like an addiction. But for me, I also realized like I basically created a lot of clarity on what I want to create this year, like extreme clarity, and where I am right now. And then like when those two are so clear, and also the why, so why do I want this year and also the years after that, the path becomes so clear. So I realized this year I don't need more knowledge. This year I don't need courses. This year I don't need basically anything. I didn't even think about going to Dubai like 4 weeks ago. But then I realized, like for me, coming here, speaking to guys who are like in my ideal, let's say, client persona, they are more here. They are more in Marbella, Dubai, places like this. So I realized, okay, I didn't want to go here to spend the money, but I just have to, because otherwise I will just stay stuck at that level. So long story short, did I fully conquer it? No. Am I busy with conquering it? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it a big change? Yes. So for me, it started with like being in control of like my admin, my finances, because that's something I always did like once a quarter. So in the Netherlands, you only have to do it like once a quarter.
Yeah.
Like from just a startup business, like a one-man business.
Okay.
And now I'm like, how do you say LLC? I think it's the same.
LTD for UK, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so for us, we call it BV. And now I need to do these things every single month, and now I need to pay taxes every single month. So I'm also like, I cannot fuck myself up anymore that much. So that's also really nice, stressful at the beginning, but also really nice as well, because that makes me like, I need to do this. And I also see it like, if I want to be this leader of men, I cannot have childish behavior in money. So sometimes that's something I feel like it's difficult being here, because a lot of guys who make a lot of money, I see a lot of childish behavior with spending the money, right? So that's sometimes, for me, it's like, not to say difficult, but interesting to just observe, right?
Yeah.
So that's one part of the story. And then the military, of course.
Mental.
Bro, the clarity that I have right now and what I want in my life was always missing. So that was one of my struggles. So then you can do a lot of things. You can just do something, just go, let's say, join a bachelor's degree or a university or whatsoever. I wasn't really paying a lot of attention at school. I didn't like it. I just liked working with my hands, because then I didn't have to do a lot of thinking and a lot of work. So I thought, you know what, I just want to make an impact. Let's go to the military. And long story short, all my life I had authority issues. Soccer, football team managers, always fights. I always felt like I knew better than them. Teachers, the same. Parents, the same. Everything, man.
You see it a lot in entrepreneurship, though, don't you? I personally do, and I imagine you do coaching so many people.
Yeah.
Everybody has that authority, not an authority complex, but like you say, not problem with authority almost. Because
100%. And sometimes, like, if I reflect back on that, and also I see it with like online entrepreneurship, it's even more. And when I reflect back on that time, I'm thinking about like, is it really like an authority issue, or is it like an issue with not wanting to take responsibility for my actions? And I honestly think it was the second. Why? If I look back at my, let's say, my football career was just amateur, not really high level, but I always felt like that they didn't value me as much as they should. But if I now look back, I wasn't just as good at it as I was thinking. And I was just not really open for feedback. I was always like, when someone had feedback for me, I felt being attacked. And this is something I saw in those other areas as well, at school as well. So I was basically avoiding confrontation. And I honestly see this a lot with like the guys that I work with and a lot of other entrepreneurs as well. It feels like it's an authority issue, but then deep down inside, it's just a responsibility issue.
That resonated with me quite a lot when you just said that, because I always felt like it was this innate feeling that you could do more. But look, like based on what you've just said, looking back, it is a responsibility thing. It's like you maybe knew deep down you weren't doing as much as you should have been. You were maybe slacking and not training as hard as the other kids, but then not accepting that it was your fault.
Yeah,
and
man.
It's always 99% of the time it's an internal issue, isn't it?
For sure. I even quit playing football, and then 4 years after, like 2 years ago, I started football again, because I realized this. Because I was also asking myself, like, if I was like the best player of the team, why didn't I help my other team players? If I'm the best player and I can teach someone something, why didn't I do that? And then I realized, because I knew I wasn't the best player, otherwise I was definitely doing that right. So, and this is now also, the most important thing is, the more you can be aligned with the truth, just simple, stupid facts like this, right? Then you also take it with you in the business. because this is also something, if you look at business, you have to like let's say, because that's like a lie we told ourselves. Let's say I told myself, maybe you resonate with it, like small simple lies to just feel good about ourselves or feel better, just the ego. But there are two kind of lies, like basically lying, like, hey, this is something that I did, why you didn't do it, or like holding back, like withholding something. And the withholding something, like lies of omission, is what we don't realize. That's not something we are super aware of. So like this is something like me thinking that I'm the best while not being the best is like a lie of omission, because I basically am insecure about like being the best.
Sure.
And that is something I see a lot in business as well. And the more you can just see the simple truths, the more clarity you get in the business, the more you see like, hey, am I really doing the 80% or not, right?
This is what really interested me about, when we were speaking before about what you do, and it's not just business coaching, it's the holistic coaching, it's the mind, the body, relationships as well.
Yeah, man.
And that it makes a lot of sense when you put it like this, because like you say, it's almost the similarities between the two, or the consistencies and the correlation. If they're not doing one thing in one area of their life, then the chances are that it's the same in all the other areas.
For sure, man. You will like be amazed how much times I, for example, have seen that like guys being in a relationship, having some kind of feelings that they want to talk about something they care about, they sit with, they have a hard time expressing it. Like a lot of guys have issues with like being vulnerable in terms of like just sharing their emotions and feelings without even needing to do something with it, but just like express it. So I see a lot of examples that like guys are not doing that, and then they are not like emotionally connected with the partner, and then like slow but steady, a lot of things in the relationship go a little bit off track. So I saw like examples, like one guy, he basically lives together with his girlfriend, and they just speak to each other 30 minutes a day, and then thinking about like, okay, why is she like doubting about the relationship he didn't even notice? And I'm like, if you live together 30 minutes a day, just having a conversation, and then you avoid each other and you don't notice, that's fucked up. But then I'm like, dude, why didn't you tell me earlier? Because I also mentioned like to this particular guy, most of my clients start to be really honest with me just after 6 months, because we are so used to fucking lying to ourselves every single day. And that same client, exactly 6 months after that I just said it at the first moment that we spoke, sent me a message, yo, Ron, I was not really honest at our last meeting. I have a really bad situation with my girlfriend. And then he talked about this stuff. And then I was like, okay. I said, dude, why didn't you tell me? That's one. Two, this is going to be something we need to look at in the business as well. Because he said like, yeah, I didn't tell you because it was not about business. I said, dude, I always say, if there's something else going on, always tell me. Then 1 week later, another thing happened. Issue with the business partner. Also withholding stuff. Withholding struggles, feelings, stuff like that.
Shit.
So I said, dude, this is exactly what I was saying fucking last week. This is because you hold back here, because you're afraid to show weakness or vulnerability in your relationship with the person you should trust the most. And now you do the same with your business partner. And that's the second person you should trust the most.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's okay. I'm like, that's okay. But realize like, this is something you need to do. Be fucking vulnerable to your girlfriend. Tell everything, a single thing that is going on. Of course, sometimes you don't need to tell everything, but more like just express it without even
holding back,
but also like expecting anything in return, because that's something, because we never, let's say I was never trained to be like sharing my emotions.
Yeah.
So at first I was expecting something back, but now I'm like, hey, this is what I feel. Like I actually told my girlfriend, like just before Dubai, I was one day I felt like really like not really well, let's say like that. And before I was just withholding it because I'm like, I don't want to hurt her because it was just a situation that her behavior just triggered me. So I just wanted to take responsibility for that and say like, listen, something about you is triggering me. Usually I would just withhold it and don't say anything about it until this is like stacking up. And then you want to say something about me. And then what most men do is like fire fucking back. Like, okay, now we can put the nuke button on and now we can.
She's there looking at me.
Yeah, but that's what we men do. Then we feel like now we can put like the nuke button. Like, fuck, now you can get it back right. While in reality, it's like, then she feels not understand. And also like the problem is even worse. And then I realized like, this is something most guys don't realize, that this is so important, because if you do that in your relationship, you do it in the business as well.
Yeah.
And that's fucking crazy. And I didn't know, but now that I work with so many guys, and I'm the same guy, right? I do the same stuff, so I experience the same shit.
Yeah. And
that's so funny. So that's why, like, most guys, I just say, like, I help you make a shit ton of money, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
But deep down inside, it's not always in a way that they think we need to do it, because they know already what to do, but all the other shit what is on their mind.
Yeah, so
all the open loops.
A lot of their blockages are actually external from business, but when you challenge those areas, then the business benefits.
And most of the time you don't see it. So like at that moment you don't see it's not a business thing. So that's why I'll always focus on the business, because they will always break something somewhere else.
Yeah.
And now we can use it. And
so
that's interesting.
That's probably one of your USPs as opposed to other coaches out there.
It's got 20 USPs. It's got relationships, got business, dress sense, mate. Everything. Been a full man.
I've been in a relationship from 17 till now, so I never really was a fuck by like 90% of the guys. So USP or a loser SP.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on the guy. No, but that's
mate,
a joke.
What would you say to people watching, like young entrepreneurs, in terms of, I guess, losing focus maybe from I guess, girls and stuff? Do you recommend getting a long-term relationship? How would you, obviously I've got a girl for myself and I want to marry her one day, obviously, but what would you say to people young watching that maybe doing online business or any type of business in terms of a young age, maybe between 18 to 25?
Yeah. So I think the best answer is something I told my girlfriend about it. And that's like, she's the reason I'm here, man. Because I was in a relationship for 6 years, the first one, and I was the biggest people pleaser. So I wasn't really not taking a stand for what I want. So we ended up splitting. And I was like this guy, similar as like the guy that I was talking. She was breaking up with me, while deep down inside I was miserable for 2 years or so. But I never really, like, I was not really taking a stand for it, so I was afraid to get in the confrontation. So I thought, you know what, let's just stay comfortable. Then I made a commitment to myself. I am not going to hold back on what I fucking want in my life. And it's not that she always needs to say yes to me. No, I'm definitely a guy who likes to just like find a middle ground. But I said, like, I'm just going to focus on me, what I want, and do what I want, and just go all in with it. Then I met my current girlfriend like 3 months after breaking up with my ex. And I thought I will be single for a long time, because I never been on Tinder, all these things, right? So I thought, you know what, now it's for me the time to play these games, right?
Sure.
And I realized this is not me. So I met my current girlfriend, and she gave me something I never really had. That was like true unconditional love. Like my dad gave it to me because like he has like a fucking crazy backstory. So he was like one of the rare dads that I ever saw that does it, because most dads have issues with it because they didn't even get it from their parents.
Yeah.
But my mom was more like that. So I knew she loved me, but she never said like that. So she was more like giving like acts of service, like cleaning everything. And my girlfriend, so long story short, my girlfriend was like fully supportive. So I said like, hey, I want to do this. Super cool. That's so nice, isn't it? I was like, why do you agree everything with me? So I was, first couple of months, I was a little bit like annoyed. Like every single thing that I said, she was like, let's go.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't you fight with me about it? She said, yeah, I'm really
Awesome,
Just want used to it almost.
Yeah, so for me, I was like, also telling her, like, I don't want to have someone who's always saying yes to me.
Yeah.
But deep down inside, I wanted someone who's saying yes to me, not per se to the things that I say, but more like give me the feeling that I can do whatever I feel like doing, that I always have someone who has my back. So that's why I said, like, to her, like, she is the reason I became successful in business. She is the reason why I became successful in becoming myself.
Wow.
And I also tell all my clients, like, the reason why the pure man is the pure man, because of the pure woman that's behind the back, like, supporting me since the fucking day one. That's like the real thing. Like,
love that. It's very powerful.
like, I even have like, you cannot see it, but like, I have like these Greek pillars, like of Athens, where you see like women as like the pillars of this like building, because I truly believe that women are like the fucking foundation of a really good family. And the men are maybe like, and this is maybe a little bit stereotype, but that's just I'm a little bit old school with that. Like, I just truly believe it, because that's like what it is for me, man. So if you're a young guy, always open yourself up to the possibility for love. What I see with a lot of young guys, they get like hurt one time, then they are like trying to become Andrew Tate. Some things that Andrew Tate says, I resonate with it, but about this stuff, I don't. Because a lot of guys get like really fucked up by thinking about it. On a reality, it's like you being vulnerable to your girlfriend, you connect on a way deeper level, so you can trust each other way more, so that she basically can feel and sense you without even talking. And I think that's what a true relationship should be. And if you're young and you open yourself for love, but you're not afraid to be hurt, because that's life, and you're open for the possibilities and just trying and discovering like what's for you, that's beautiful. If then you find someone and you really feel this love, amazing. Go for it. Give it all. I always say, guys, like, even if you sometimes not sure if this is it for you, act as if this is the girl for the rest of your life, because you don't know. I don't know, but I want to commit to it as if it is.
It's interesting what you said as well. After the breakup, you thought, this is my time to, do my thing or whatever, and you realized very quickly it wasn't you. I feel like a lot of people without direction, because like you say, people like Andrew Tate and others that like they're influencers or have an influence, people think that that's what they should do, go and sleep with loads of women, whatever it is, and then they quickly find themselves, lost even further, because it's like they thought they'd find fulfillment in doing that, and they got further away from where they really needed to get to.
Yeah, man. Then you never grow up, and then that's why a lot of these like thirst trap shit in Dubai is here.
Yeah,
because a lot of guys got really rich but never really grew up. So then they need to have some candy to play with, because that's what channels do. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, but that's what it is. That's what it is. But that's not really cool. That's not really cool online.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. But deep down inside, the real killers who are like having like the best families and businesses and bodies, they know like these guys are jokes.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
Right? It's a very cliche saying, isn't it? Behind every great man is a great woman, but
100%.
I truly believe that. I found that. And you're the same, right?
Absolutely, mate. Well. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, bro.
Which is
and that's why it's so important. And to finish this story off is the whole reason why I truly believe it is because I learned this in the military. A really good home base is one of the most important things. That's why in military movies you always see like the picture of the family, right? Really good body, strong mind, and just like our hard work ethic. So basically discipline on like raising your high standards on these is why everyone is thriving in stressful situations over there. Because if the bullets are flying above your head and your home base is fucked up, so like the relationships is not really like going that well, you slacked on your body, then all the stress is like depending on this one skill set that you have, and you break down very easily. So that's why it's important. Like if shit is going wrong, that you have like 4 or 5 pillars to just hold it right to catch it. Otherwise, you can do it once, you can do it twice, but then will be a really, really
It's a good way of
big
looking
problem.
at it.
Yeah.
Very good way of looking at it. For
Yeah.
sure.
Something the military do. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they'll move families. They'll probably do in the camera thing.
Yeah, you can just talk.
Yeah.
Man. You can just
And I learned there's certain businesses that do